Ethan Cole was tired. His shirt had oil stains, his boots were full of dust, and his small toolkit felt heavy in his hand. It had been a long day fixing broken wires on ships at Dock 7 of Varelia Spaceport. The spaceport was loud and busy, full of creatures from many planets. Some walked on two legs, some had wings. Others floated. Ethan was one of the few humans working here. Most aliens didn't trust humans. They thought humans were selfish or strange. Ethan didn't argue. He just wanted to do his job, earn a little credit, and eat a warm meal. As he walked home through a quiet alley behind the docking station, he heard a soft sound. Whimper. Hick. Sniff. Ethan stopped. The sound came from behind a stack of supply crates. He listened again. Yes. Someone was crying. He carefully walked over and peeked behind the crates. There, sitting on the cold ground, was a small alien toddler. She had smooth lavender skin, tiny horns on her forehead, and bright golden eyes full of tears. Her long silver hair was tangled, and her clothes were fancy but dirty. Like she had been crawling for hours. Ethan froze. He had never seen a child like her before. The little girl looked at him with wide eyes, afraid. "Hey," Ethan said gently, kneeling down. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." She didn't answer. She hugged her knees tighter. Ethan placed his toolkit down and slowly sat on the ground, keeping a little distance so he wouldn't scare her. "You're lost, huh?" he said kindly. "Where's your family?" The girl just stared at him. She didn't understand his words. Ethan pulled a translator chip from his pocket and tapped it against his comm band. The device blinked as it tried to match her language. Nothing. "Of course," he sighed. "A rare language? Great." Still, he couldn't just leave her there. She was too young, too scared, and alone. "All right," he said, more to himself than to her. "Let's try something else." He opened his bag and took out a protein snack bar. He unwrapped it and broke off a small piece. He placed it near her. She sniffed the air, crawled a little closer, and slowly took the food. She ate quietly, still watching him with big eyes. Ethan smiled. "There we go. That's better." He noticed a bracelet on her wrist. It was made of shining blue metal and had strange symbols on it. It didn't look like a toy. It looked official. He reached out slowly. "Can I see that?" The girl held her hand close. Then she spoke. One soft word in broken galactic basic. "Mama." Ethan's heart hurt a little. He nodded. "Okay, we'll find your mama." The bracelet beeped once and glowed faintly. Ethan blinked. "That's not just decoration," he whispered. "This might be a tracker." He pulled out a scanner from his bag and hovered it near the bracelet. The screen blinked once, then shut off with a warning. "Data protected, Imperial seal. Access denied." Imperial? That meant the girl belonged to the Tivril Empire, the most powerful race in this galaxy. No wonder she looked so different. And no wonder the scanner couldn't read her bracelet. This just got complicated. Ethan stood up and looked around. The alley was still empty. No one seemed to notice them. He picked up his toolkit, looked at the girl, and said, "Okay, we can't. Stay here." He reached out his hand. The little girl stared for a long moment. Then, slowly, she reached out and took his fingers. Her hand was warm and soft. Ethan smiled. "Let's go find your mom." He took her to the local port security office. The guards, two tall, crab-like aliens, listened to his story. But when they saw the girl, they stepped back nervously. "Leave now, human," one said. "You are not permitted to handle Imperial matters." "I'm not handling anything," Ethan said. "I found her lost in an alley. She needs help." "She is Tavril," the guard said, clicking his claws. "Very high status. If something happens to her while she is with you, it will bring great trouble." Ethan stepped back, suddenly afraid. They weren't going to help, and if he left her with them, they might report it wrongly, or worse, blame him. He looked down at the girl. She was holding his hand tightly, hiding behind his leg. He made a decision. He turned around and walked out, heart pounding. Back at his small workshop, Ethan sat with the girl while she napped on a blanket. He tried everything he could. He scanned the bracelet again. He searched every open channel for missing persons reports. Nothing worked. The girl's identity was locked tight under high-level clearance. He opened a private comm channel and called. The only person he knew who might help, Fricks, an old alien engineer with long ears and 4 eyes. Fricks was grumpy but smart. "I need help, Fricks. Serious help." "What did you do this time, human?" Fricks grumbled through the screen. "I think I found a lost Toddler." "You what?" "She has a bracelet with an imperial seal. Won't speak much. I think she's royalty." There was a long silence. "Stay right there," Fricks said, "and don't let anyone else see her." That night, as the spaceport lights blinked outside, Ethan sat by the sleeping girl. She held a small wrench he had given her like a toy. He watched her gently breathe and wondered. Who was she? Where was her mother? And what would happen when the Empire came looking? He didn't know it yet, but this small act of kindness, helping a lost child, would change everything. Soon the entire galaxy would know his name. But for now, he was just a tired mechanic sitting beside a sleeping alien child, and he had promised her one thing: he would help her find her mama. Ethan Cole sat on a crate inside his small workshop. His eyes were fixed on the strange glowing bracelet around the little alien girl's wrist. She sat nearby on a folded blanket, holding a broken gear in her hands and watching Ethan with big, curious eyes. The bracelet was silver with blue lights that blinked slowly. Strange alien symbols floated across its surface. Ethan had never seen anything like it before. "I don't know who you are," he whispered to the girl, "but you're important. I can feel it." She didn't answer. She didn't speak much. But she wasn't scared anymore, not when Ethan was close. She trusted him, and that meant everything. Ethan stood and walked over to his old computer screen. It flickered as he connected a scanner to it and aimed it at the bracelet. Scanning. Access denied. Imperial encryption detected. Ethan's eyebrows rose. "Imperial?" he said out loud. He looked back at the girl. She was now trying to stack small bolts into a tower. She was calm. Safe. He picked up the communicator and called someone he knew he could trust. The screen lit up with the wrinkled green face of Fricks, a 4-eyed alien engineer. Fricks wore thick goggles and a leather tool belt that almost dragged. "The ground. What now, human?" Fricks grumbled. "I'm eating." "I need help," Ethan said. "Real help." Fricks looked closer at the screen. "What's that on your bench? Is that a child?" Ethan nodded. "I found her alone, in the back alley behind my shop." Fricks squinted at the screen. "Is that an Imperial bracelet?" "I think so." Fricks dropped his food. "Do you know what this means?" "I was hoping." "You'd tell me," Ethan replied. Fricks sighed and took off his goggles. "Only royal families use that kind of bracelet," he said. "It has an identity chip inside. It's locked to high-level military or noble codes. If she's wearing one, then she's not just a lost child. She's someone very important." Ethan felt a chill. "Can we unlock it?" "No," Fricks said. "But there's a way to send out a signal using the bracelet's emergency beacon." Ethan leaned forward. "A beacon?" "Yes. It was made in case the child is ever separated from her family. It will connect to a satellite relay and send her location to her guardians." "Then that's what we do," Ethan said. Fricks held up a finger. "But there's a problem. You need to be near a functioning Imperial tower to do that, and the closest one is on the other side of the city." Ethan looked out the window at the sky. The city was massive, and parts of it were unsafe, especially for a human traveling with an alien child. "I'll figure it out," Ethan said quietly. That night, Ethan packed light. He wrapped the girl in a soft cloth and placed her gently into a hover cart. He brought water, snacks, and a tiny pillow for her comfort. The streets were quiet this late, but strange things often happened in the shadows. Ethan walked carefully through the alleys, avoiding the busy parts of the city. The girl didn't cry. She looked around, curious but calm. Whenever Ethan looked back at her, she smiled. "You're brave," he told her. "You trust me. That's rare." After almost 2 hours, they reached a small hill where the old Imperial communication tower stood. The gate was locked with a glowing red panel. "I was afraid of that," Ethan said. He turned on his wrist scanner. Come on, come on." Security check failed. Imperial access required. Then something amazing happened. The bracelet on the girl's arm lit up brighter than ever. Blue lines flowed across its surface. The gate beeped, and the red light turned green. Access granted. Ethan stared. "Well, I guess you were the key." Inside the tower, there was dust and silence, but the main control panel still worked. Ethan placed the girl's hand near it. The screen blinked. Emergency signal activated. Child identity. Princess. Yuli Tevril signal sent to royal ship. Starflame estimated response time. 4 hours. "Princess?" Ethan whispered. "You're royalty?" The girl looked up at him with wide eyes and smiled. Ethan sat down slowly. His heart was racing. He had helped a royal child, and now her family was on the way. Ethan didn't sleep. He stayed near the girl, keeping watch. Fricks messaged him once. "You actually did it. Be careful. The Empire may not be happy to see a human with their child." "I know," Ethan replied, "but I couldn't leave her alone." Hours passed. Then, just before sunrise, the sky opened up. A massive gold and silver ship, sleek, glowing, and shaped like a star, descended from the clouds. It hovered above the tower with quiet power. Several flying guards came down first, dressed in blue and silver armor. Ethan stood with the girl in his arms. "I think your ride is here," he whispered. The guards approached. "Human," one of them said. "You are holding the daughter of the High Matriarch of the Tevril Empire." "I know," Ethan said. "I just wanted to make sure she was safe." The guard scanned the girl's bracelet. It matched instantly. She looked at the guards, then back at Ethan. She clung to him tightly. "She doesn't want to go yet," Ethan said softly. The guards looked unsure. Then one of them stepped aside. A tall alien woman with long white robes and bright silver eyes walked toward them. Her face was calm, but her eyes were full of emotion. "Yuli," she said. The little girl's face lit up. She ran to the woman and hugged her tightly. The woman knelt down and held her close. Then she looked up at Ethan. "You protected her?" she said. "You cared for her when no one else did." "I just did what anyone should," Ethan replied. "No," she said. "Not everyone would." Before she left, the woman turned to him again. "My name is Valari," she said. "I owe you a great debt." Ethan Cole. She took a small glowing crystal from her robe and placed it in his hand. "This is a royal seal," she said. "If you ever need help, show it. Anywhere in the Empire." The guards, the woman, and the child entered the ship. Ethan stood alone as it rose into the sky and vanished among the stars. He looked down at the glowing seal in his hand, from a dusty street on Virelia to trusted by the Empire. And it all started because he chose to help a scared little girl. Ethan Cole stood in front of an old, dusty ship hidden deep in Dock 11. It was small, shaped like a beetle, and hadn't flown in years. Its name, the Swift Needle, was barely visible on the side. Fricks scratched his chin with one of his 4 hands. "It's not pretty, but the engine still runs. With a few fixes, it can jump to the Imperial sector." Ethan glanced at the toddler beside him. She was wearing a warm jacket and holding his hand tightly. Her golden eyes sparkled as she looked. "At the ship, I promised her," Ethan said softly. "We're going." Fricks rolled his eyes. "Humans are strange, you know that, right?" "I get that a lot," Ethan smiled. The next few hours were full of hard work. Ethan checked the fuel lines. Fricks repaired the shields. The AI assistant, Milo, downloaded fresh star maps and tried to match the Toddler's bracelet code with any known royal routes. Still, they couldn't find her name. "She must be very important," Milo said in its calm voice. "Her data is locked beyond all normal clearance." Ethan looked at the girl. She had fallen asleep in the co-pilot chair, curled up with a blanket. "Then we'll return her ourselves," he said. Later that night, the Swift Needle rose slowly from the landing pad and flew into the dark sky. Ethan sat in the pilot's seat. Fricks was beside him, double-checking every control. The child, whom Ethan had started calling Yuli, was strapped in safely behind them. "Ready to jump?" Ethan asked. Fricks sighed. "No, but do it anyway." With a deep breath, Ethan pulled the lever. Zoom! The stars stretched into lines and the ship jumped into hyperspace. 2 hours later, alarms blared. "Warning, Imperial border detected. Unregistered human vessel approaching." "Oh no," Ethan muttered. "We're here." A large ship appeared on the screen. It was silver and gold, shaped like a giant wing. The words, "Imperial Guard, Patrol 47, blinked across their view. "This is Patrol 47, a robotic voice called. "Unregistered ship, identify yourself," Fricks nudged Ethan. "Let me do the talking." Fricks opened the channel. "This is the Swift Needle. We have an emergency. We carry a lost Tavril child, possibly royalty." There was a long pause. Then, the robotic voice returned, sharper this time. "Remain where you are. Prepare for boarding." Ethan's heart beat fast as 2 guards entered their ship. They were tall, thin, and wore smooth white armor. Their eyes glowed faintly blue. They didn't say anything for a long time. Then Yuli peeked out from her seat. One of the guards stepped forward, knelt down, and scanned her bracelet. A soft beep echoed. "Confirmed," the guard said. "Royal ID, Princess Juliana Tavril." Ethan stared. "She's a real princess?" "Yes," the guard replied. "Daughter of High Matriarch Velari. Missing for 3 days." Fricks let out a low whistle. "Well, Ethan, you've really done it now." The other guard spoke. "You will follow us to the Imperial flagship. Do not attempt to flee." Ethan nodded slowly. "We just want to return her safely." Yuli grabbed Ethan's hand as they flew toward the massive Imperial ship. The Imperial flagship was like a city in space. Shining towers reached toward the stars. Small ships flew in and out like bees. The Swift Needle looked like a toy compared to its size. Inside, everything was clean, bright, and silent. Ethan, Fricks, and Yuli were led down long halls. Soft lights glowed from the floor. Curious alien workers stared at them as they passed. Then, a door opened, and Ethan saw her. High Matriarch Velari stood tall and calm, her lavender skin glowing faintly. Her silver hair flowed like a waterfall, and her golden eyes were full of power and worry. "Yuli!" she cried. The child ran to her. Velari knelt down, arms wide. Yuli rushed into her hug, finally smiling again. The two held each other tightly. Ethan looked away, feeling like he was watching something private. Still, his chest felt warm. Velari stood up and faced him. "You are the human who brought her back?" "Yes," Ethan said, bowing a little. "My name is Ethan Cole. I found her near Dock 7 on Varelia. She was alone, scared." Velari studied him. "And yet you did not call the authorities?" "I tried. They didn't trust me. She trusted me. So I brought her here myself." Velari said nothing for a moment. Then she gave a small nod. "You have done a great thing, Ethan Cole." Ethan and Fricks were taken to a guest chamber. It was the size of a house, with soft chairs and food made by machines. Milo's voice came through a small screen. "Congratulations. You are now known to the Empire." Ethan rubbed his eyes. "I didn't do it for fame." "I know," Milo replied, "but others will see it differently." Later, a servant came to the room. "Her Highness requests your presence." Ethan followed the servant down another glowing hall. In a private garden full of floating flowers, Valari waited. "Yuli will not sleep unless she knows you are nearby," she said softly. "She's safe now," Ethan said. "That's what matters." Valari nodded. "We searched for her everywhere. She wandered off during a diplomatic visit. No one expected her to end up in the human sector." "She's brave," Ethan smiled. "And smart." Valari looked at him carefully. "Most humans I have met chase power or trade. You are different." "I'm just a mechanic," he said. "Not anymore," she said. Ethan blinked. "What does that mean?" Valari turned toward the stars. "You brought home the future leader of the Tivril. You crossed into our space without fear. And you treated my daughter with kindness when no one else would." She looked back at him. "For that reason, Ethan Cole, the Empire now trusts you." The Imperial flagship's palace chamber was made of white stone and soft blue light. The walls moved gently, like they were alive. Flowers floated in the air, glowing with soft colors. Everything felt quiet, clean, and too perfect. Ethan stood near the center of the grand hall, wearing new clothes given to him by the servants. His old jacket had been taken away, probably because it was too dirty. He tugged at the high collar of his shirt, feeling uncomfortable. "Do I look okay?" he whispered to Fricks, who stood beside him dressed in a loose dark robe. "You look like a confused human," Fricks grumbled. "But I suppose that's normal." Yuli, the little alien princess, peeked out from behind a curtain. She giggled when she saw Ethan and ran to him. She wore a soft pink robe, and tiny stars floated around her hair. "Ethan!" she smiled. That was how she said his name. Ethan smiled back. "Hey, Yuli, you look nice." She held his hand tightly, like she didn't want him to disappear. High Matriarch Valari entered the hall a few minutes later. Her long gown flowed behind her, and several royal advisors followed in silence. The whole room stood still. Valari raised one hand. "Welcome," she said calmly. "This evening, we give thanks to the one who returned my daughter to me." Everyone turned toward Ethan. He felt nervous. What was he supposed to say? After the short speech, the court dinner began. Ethan sat at a long crystal table beside Fricks, Milo, now upgraded with a fancy silver speaker, and several noble aliens. Each of them had strange faces, bright clothing, and curious eyes. Some had long necks, some had feathered arms, and one even floated instead of sitting. Yuli sat near him, eating round glowing fruit and laughing at Milo's quiet jokes. The food was odd but tasty. It changed colors when touched. Some dishes floated in midair. Others made soft music as they were eaten. Ethan tried to act polite, but he didn't know the rules. He dropped a spoon once. One noble alien gasped when he used the wrong fork. Still, Valari watched everything calmly. She didn't seem angry. A tall noble with sharp silver skin spoke loudly. "So, human," he said, "tell us, did you return? The princess for reward or fame?" Ethan put down his drink and looked at the man. "No," he said. "I helped her because she needed help, that's all." The noble raised an eyebrow. "Strange. Most beings want something." Ethan shrugged. "Sometimes being kind is enough." There was silence. Then Valari smiled. "Well said." After dinner, the court musicians played soft music that made the air shimmer. Yuli danced in small circles, pulling Ethan's hand. He laughed and spun once. The nobles chuckled quietly. Some clapped. Fricks leaned over to Milo and whispered, "Is he charming or just lucky?" Possibly both, Milo answered. Later that night, Valari invited Ethan to a private garden again. He followed her past a line of glowing stones. Yuli had finally gone to sleep, watched over by her nurses. "I see why she trusts you," Valari said, looking at the stars. "She laughs again. That is new," Ethan smiled. "She's a brave little girl." "She is the future of the Empire," Valari said softly. "But in the end, she is still a child." There was silence for a moment. "Ethan Cole," she said, turning to him, "you may not understand what you have done. I'm just glad she's home. She was lost in space. And you, a human, one of a species many still doubt, found her, protected her, and brought her back." Ethan rubbed the back of his neck. "Honestly, I was scared most of the time. But you acted anyway," she said. "That is courage." Ethan looked at her. "Do you still not trust humans?" Valari didn't answer right away. "Some still fear your kind," she said. "But today, you helped change that." The next day, news of Ethan's actions spread across the flagship. Servants whispered his name. Guards nodded when he passed. Even noble aliens who once avoided him now spoke to him with respect. Milo reported that messages were being sent across the stars. "Many leaders are talking about your kindness," Milo said. "They say, if one human could do this, maybe more can be trusted too." Ethan was surprised. "I didn't mean to make news. Sometimes good stories travel faster than bad ones," Milo said. Fricks snorted. "That's rare." Later, Valari made an announcement. She stood before her royal council and said, "Let it be known. The human named Ethan Cole is now a friend of the Empire. His name shall be recorded in our memory stones. His acts shall be honored." Ethan didn't know what to say. He bowed awkwardly. "Thank you. I'm just happy Yuli's safe." Valari looked at him warmly. "You did what many others would not. That is why you are special." Yuli ran to Ethan again, her tiny hands full of colored stones. "Play?" she asked. Ethan sat beside her. "Always." That night, Fricks and Milo joined him on a balcony above the garden. Fricks looked up at the stars. "You know, Ethan, you could return home a hero." "Maybe," Ethan said, "but I don't want rewards. I just want to help." Milo added, "The Empire is preparing a role for you. Something important." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" Before either could answer, a soft chime rang from the wall. Valari's voice spoke gently through the room. "Ethan Cole, please come to my chambers. There is something we must discuss." Fricks looked at him. "She sounds serious." Ethan stood up slowly. "Yeah," he said. "Something's coming." Ethan Cole stood outside the grand silver doors of the royal chamber, his hands sweating. Two tall guards stood beside him, completely still. Their armor gleamed under the soft purple lights of the hallway. He took a deep breath. The doors slid, open with a soft hum. Inside, the room was quiet, with tall windows that showed a view of the stars. High Matriarch Valari sat at a curved table, along with 6 other important members of the Imperial Council. Their faces were calm, but serious. Yuli sat quietly in the corner with a nurse, hugging a toy Ethan had made from spare wires. Valari looked at Ethan. "Thank you for coming," he nodded. "Of course." One of the council members, a short alien, with green feathers, spoke first. "Human, do you know why you are here?" Ethan shook his head. "No, but I'm guessing it's not just a friendly chat." Some of the council smiled. Others stayed silent. Valari spoke again. "This is the court of trust. Before you can be named an official ally of the Empire, we must test your heart, your words, and your choices." Ethan blinked. "Test me? How?" "With questions," she said. "With truth." Ethan sat in a round chair made of smooth light. The room grew dim. A soft hum filled the air. A small floating orb blinked above his head. "This orb reads honesty," Valari explained. "It will not harm you, but if you lie, it will glow red." Ethan sat up straighter. "All right, ask away." The first question came from a long-faced alien with blue skin. "Why did you help the child when you didn't know who she was?" Ethan answered easily. "Because she was alone. She was scared. It didn't matter where she came from." The orb stayed green. Next, a tall noble with sharp silver eyes leaned forward. "Did you ever think of keeping her to gain attention or power?" Ethan frowned. "No, she's not a prize. She's a person, a child." The orb flashed brighter green. A third council member asked, "What would you have done if the Empire refused to help you?" Ethan thought for a moment. "I would have kept trying. I wouldn't give up until she was home." Green again. More questions followed. Some were simple, some were strange. One noble even asked what Ethan's favorite food was. "Chocolate muffins," he said, smiling, "with soft filling inside." That made even the serious council members chuckle. Then came the hardest question. Valari herself asked it. "Ethan, Cole, if one day you must choose between saving Yuli or protecting the Empire, what would you choose?" The room went silent. Ethan looked down at his hands. He didn't answer right away. Finally, he said, "I don't know." The orb stayed green. He looked up. "I care about Yuli. I also know she's important to many people. I would try my best to protect both, but I won't lie. I don't have all the answers." Valari nodded slowly. "Honest," she said. "That is enough." After the test, Ethan was taken to a large hall filled with guests from many worlds. Music played softly in the background. Floating lights filled the air. Everyone waited for the results of the court. A golden horn sounded. Valari stepped onto a raised platform. "Citizens of the Empire," she said, "a human named Ethan Cole came to us not as a leader, not as a soldier, but as a kind soul who helped a lost child without asking for reward." People nodded and whispered. "He passed the court of trust. He spoke with courage and with truth. Therefore we name him—" She paused. "Galactic Friend of the Crown." The crowd clapped, softly at first, then louder. Yuli ran to Ethan and hugged him tightly. "Friend," she said, smiling big. He picked her up and laughed. Later that night, Ethan stood on a balcony again with Fricks and Milo. The stars above looked clearer than ever. "You did well," Fricks said, sipping a glowing drink. "Didn't faint or insult anyone." "I was close," Ethan laughed. "That one guy really didn't like me." "He was testing you," Milo said. "And you passed." Ethan leaned on the railing. "So what now?" Milo replied. "The Empire has made you one of the most trusted humans in the galaxy. They will likely ask you to help build better ties between humans and Tevril." Ethan blinked. "Me? But I'm just a mechanic." "Not anymore," Frick said. "You're a symbol now." Ethan looked at his hands. "I just helped a kid. And sometimes," Frick said, "that's how big things begin." The next day, Ethan packed his small bag. He was getting ready to return to Virelia for a short time just to visit. Yuli held his hand tightly. "You go?" "I'll come back," he promised. "You'll always be my friend." She hugged him and gave him a small, shiny stone. "For you," she said. Ethan smiled and slipped it into his pocket. Valari met him at the docking bay. "You gave us more than you know," she said. "When you return, a role will be waiting for you." Ethan nodded. "I'm ready." As the swift needle flew away, Ethan looked out the window. The stars felt closer, and somewhere deep in the galaxy, people from different worlds were now thinking differently about humans, about kindness, and about trust. All because one tired mechanic helped a lost little girl find her way home. Busy streets, crowded docks, ships coming and going every hour. Aliens of all shapes and colors moved quickly, talking, trading, and living their lives. But this time, when Ethan Cole stepped out of the Swift Needle, people noticed. Some whispered, "Is that him? That's the human who helped the princess." Others smiled, bowed, or even tried to shake his hand. Not long ago, no one had cared who he was. Now, everyone wanted to talk to him. Ethan felt shy. He was still just a mechanic in his heart. He returned to his old workshop. It was dusty and quiet. A few tools still lay where he had left them. Fricks walked in behind him, whistling. "Well, well, still standing." "I never thought I'd miss this place," Ethan said, running a hand over the workbench. Milo's voice came from a round speaker on the wall. "Local news has already reported your return. Prepare for more visitors." Ethan laughed. Great. There was a knock at the door. It was Director Lorna, head of the port. "Mr. Cole," she said, smiling. "Or should I say galactic friend of the crown?" "Just Ethan is fine." "I've been asked to give you something," she said, holding out a silver badge. "The Empire wants you to act as their official human liaison on Virelia." Ethan blinked. "Wait, really? You'll help manage peaceful talks between human settlers and alien leaders. No fighting, just words, ideas, and solutions." Ethan slowly took the badge. It was shaped like a star, with the Tevril crest in the center. "I'll do my best," he said. Over the next few weeks, Ethan's life changed. He spoke at small meetings between humans and aliens. He shared his story, not as a hero, but as someone who simply made a choice to help. He told people how trust was built through kindness. He didn't use big words. He just spoke from the heart. Many aliens who once feared humans began to listen. They asked questions. They began to smile when they saw him. Children, both human and alien, drew pictures of Ethan and the princess. One drawing showed them flying through the stars together, holding hands. Ethan hung it on his wall. Then one day, a special message arrived. It was from High Matriarch Valeri. "You have done well, Ethan Cole. The bond between our people grows. Stronger every day. Yuli asks about you often. She wants to visit Virelia soon." Attached was a small video. Yuli was wearing a new dress and holding a small plush toy shaped like a spaceship. She waved at the screen. "Hi, Ethan. I miss you." Ethan smiled warmly. "I miss you too, little star." Valari's message continued. "We are building a new academy on our home planet, one where young beings from many species can learn about peace, friendship, and cooperation. I would like you to help guide it." Ethan's eyes widened. He had started as a fixer of broken engines. Now he was being asked to help fix something far bigger, the connection between different worlds. A few months later, Ethan arrived at the Academy of Unity, located on the green moon of Tavel. It was full of children from many planets, small, curious minds eager to learn. He was welcomed as the first human teacher. In his class, he taught stories, not just about machines or ships, but about moments of kindness. He told the tale of a little lost princess, and how a small choice can change many lives. Yuli sat in the front row every time. She always raised her hand first. One day after class, Ethan and Yuli walked through the garden together. She held his hand like she used to. "Do you remember the alley?" she asked. "Very clearly," Ethan said. "I was scared," she said. "I was too," Ethan admitted. "But then we weren't scared anymore," she said with a smile. "Because we were together." Ethan nodded. "That's right." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a shiny stone, the same one she had given him long ago. "I want you to keep it again," she said. "For luck." He gently closed her hand around it. "You keep it. You're the lucky one." Years passed. Ethan never became rich. He didn't build ships or lead armies, but he became something rarer, a bridge between worlds. He helped start small libraries, clean water systems, and places where humans and aliens could work side by side. Wherever he went, people listened, not because he was loud or powerful, but because he had proven something simple. Trust is possible. One evening, as the sun set over the Tavel garden, Ethan sat under a glowing tree. Fricks sat beside him, older but still grumpy. Milo floated nearby, still helpful and calm. Yuli, now taller, was teaching a group of younger students nearby. Her voice was clear, confident, and full of hope. Fricks nudged Ethan. "You know, you could have stayed a nobody." Ethan smiled. "I was never a nobody. I just hadn't met the right someone." They both laughed. Milo spoke. "Would you like to hear a summary of your journey?" Ethan leaned back. "No need. I remember it all." He looked at the stars above and whispered, "It all started with one small choice and one scared little girl.